So this is just a video version of the text that I wrote, because some people are more apt to watch a video than they are to read a post. So I asked this question a few weeks ago, but I didn't get very high quality answers. But it's the weekend, so I'm expecting more readers to respond to this, because that's usually what happens on the weekends. My question is, when should property rights first have appeared? When was the line drawn between human and animal property rights? I'm asking this to non-creationist evolutionists because I already know what the Bible's going to say about it. Or has said. One person offered the writings of Adam Smith as a possible resource for answering it, but I'd like to know exactly what he said about it and any further explanations that, people writing here would like to state about how that relates to what I'm saying. So here's the possible demarcation points of where you draw the line between human and animal, or when property rights first start. And with a lot of these things, you can relate it back to what we're supposed to do today, and also, just as a critique of history of, when each of those things happened and how things should have gone down. So this is kind of more relevant to people who have a normative standard of morals or objective morals rather than nihilists. So did it start with the Big Bang? Do atoms have property rights? Is it wrong for one photon to smash an neutrino? Was it with the first diatomacus bacteria? Is it wrong for one bacteria to consume another, or one microscopic organism to consume another, like an amoeba eating a bacteria, or so on? Same goes for like plants and higher level forms of life. Was it with the first animals? Is it wrong for one animal to prey on another? Should we stop fish from eating worms, or lions from eating like antelope or gazelle or that kind of stuff? Gemsbok, bison, not bison, water buffalo, I guess. I mean, that goes for just the whole animal kingdom. Like, insects or stuff that's kind of animal but not really fully animal. Or when would you say that the first animals started to have property rights? Because you've got even something really innocuous like a hummingbird. They can be territorial. And how does that relate to the rights that we have as humans? Was it with the first primates? Do we stop chimpanzees from raping and eating each other? Yeah, because one of the most pressing moral problems of the time is, how do we stop monkey rape? But yeah, there are some documented instances of chimpanzees being cannibals. And the nature photographers will just, catch it as it's happening and not do anything about it. Where do you intervene, in that? Was it the first Neolithic ancestors, in light of the resultant strength of survival that was passed on to subsequent generations, should deaths that occurred as feuds between the stronger and weaker, or between smarter and dumber individual exemplars have happened? I mean, usually with us as ANCAPs being in a position of weakness and being in a minority, our answer is probably going to lie along the lines of, siding with intelligence over, like, physical power and, domination of military power and that kind of stuff. But I can also think of instances in prehistory where, because one stupider but stronger Neolithic ancestor killed another and ended up passing on the genetics that we have now, there are cases where people nowadays would not have survived something if it wasn't for those genetics. Like, somebody's mountain climbing and they fall and they break their leg, but, because of the physical strength that they have, they're able to pull themselves out of that. So, I can also think of a situation where somebody's smarts have gotten them out of a situation. So, it's kind of a causal thing. And how does that relate to today, where we're like, okay, well, there's a actual thing where it's been documented multiple times, where you've got statistics showing that countries with higher fertility rates have lower IQ levels. So there's a proportional thing of, countries with a higher IQ have lower birth rates or fewer children if they're not, some people can have more as long as they're spaced out at wider intervals, but, countries that are like, third world and have really dense populations don't have as high IQ rates. Then you get countries like, like Japan or the US, where they do have higher IQ rates. So the question there is, well, okay, you've got stupid people that are having more kids, more apt to survive, and be in control, but, should those people have the power, or should they be winning the fight of, the outcome of society and history and stuff? So it's a good question of, judging history. Where do those property rights start, or how should those fights have gone down? So did the line of demarcation between human and animal start with the first Homo sapiens? Do we intervene in fights between one stranger and another who are both starving and in some third world country? So you got some 2-year-old kid who's starving to death, and he kills another 2-year-old kid starving to death over food. Do you intervene in that fight? So yeah, I think that's some good starter points for the conversation starts. But I'm interested in hearing what you guys think about it, because I'm not really sure where it starts myself, but it definitely does make reading history way more entertaining, because you're like, I'm reading like the history of the Near East, and in tribes and early nations fighting against each other, and it's like trying to track, all right, you owe these people this much money for these damages that you incurred, but then you got revenge later on, but then you put them to slavery. So what I'm trying to do here is find a starting point of judging history, or trying to track where all those transgressions happen. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think.